I interviewed Tom Lee a few months ago. What month was that again, Daniel? When I interviewed Tom Lee?
Into April, I think he came on.
In April. Okay. And we had a great conversation. It was pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, I said, do you have a forecast of Bitcoin? Because I know that before that, he threw out a 25,000 price target. And I know it came down to 8,500 and it was on its way to 8,500. I think it went a little bit lower. But he got pissed off at me. He said, I don't do forecasts for crypto, so there's nothing. And I was like, well, I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. I didn't mean anything by it. I was just like, hey, what do you think? Because he has been making forecasts like crazy. And he came out. He's like, basically, I don't do forecasts for crypto. And he was kind of like, I won't say the D word, but that's what he was. And I was just like, all right, fine, cool. He's like, I don't do price targets or whatever. But now, you see on TV where so many people do price targets, right? And they're getting back to it. Why? Because that's how you get on TV. So when you see a group, you don't get on TV by saying, oh, it's going to go to 25,000 by, in a couple of months when it's 20,000. You don't get on TV for that. I know. I've been through the whole freaking thing. The more crazy crap you say, that's how you get. Nobody wants to watch TV or watch anything that's not exciting. They don't want to watch a guy saying, hey, this is what you have to do. You have to put all your money into income stocks. And in 40 years from now, after compounding, you're going to make an absolute fortune. Nobody wants to hear that ever. They're like, they want to hear, especially, and I know that from doing this and reading tens of thousands and 100,000 emails over the past 20 years. Frank, what's that one stock? That one stock didn't go up 80 times or whatever. I don't care. I'll lose all my money. That's what they want. They want the excitement. There's a reason why people go to see movies like Armageddon, even though it's ridiculous, because it's exciting. But this is your money, right? This is different. This isn't about being entertained. This is more about supporting your family, making sure that you can pay for your kids' colleges, and just seeing so many people go on and throw out a 300,000. This is next year, 2021 Citigroup, 300,000 price target. Again, it's wherever 1920 today. I don't know where it is right now, but
yeah.
And this is by year end 2021. Why not say 50,000? Why not say 70,000? Like 300,000. And he's like, it's based on technicals. How are you looking at technicals? We've never been here before. What are you looking at? There's not like another level that you compare it to. Or, okay, we break out. Let's see some consolidation. And then the report says based on technicals, and he starts citing like 1970 gold standard of the reasons why Bitcoin's great. So just reading it, and he's contradicting himself, saying, for me, I think that's a bad thing for the industry. But it's just funny because I see this happen all the time, and it bothers the hell out of me. Is when it's a bull market in an industry, everyone jumps on board at the wrong time. I love Bitcoin. It's going a lot higher. I just think it could consolidate and pull back a little bit. But the forecasts always come, and they come ridiculous when you're either at the top or the bottom. The bottom, if you look at the perma bears, I can name 20 guys, right? When the market crashed and went to the S&P 500 was 666 was the low. The perma bears who said the market was going to crash. All right, you're right. What did they do? They got on and said, it's going to 300. It's going to 200. Like, stop buying a cave.
Well, it's hard to change your mind, man. I gotta even admit that. And I know you're not saying it isn't, but yeah. Hey, speaking of price predictions, when's the last time you heard a good one on gold that wasn't your typical gold bug for the last 30 years? Whatever happened to making price predictions for gold? We need to get back to that. Have some fun.
Because you've seen the bull market in gold. There are some people that were saying 5,000 and 10,000 gold by a certain time. If you go back in 2011, you look at those forecasts. That's where the last bull market is. This is what I'm talking about. Go Google it. Go say gold forecast 2011, and you'll see 50 names. All the gold bugs pop up.
Yeah.
5,000, 10,000, 20, they disappear. They're not there anymore.
Yeah.
This is a point I want to make to you because this is stuff that no one else is going to tell you. You got to be careful who you listen to out there. These people, they have stake in the game. They have things going on behind the scenes that you don't know. They want to bring attention to their position because they're going to make more money, and they're not going to tell you when they're going to sell it. They don't have to. If they're a fund manager, you have to list it every quarter if you have over 100 million assets. But that's how you should always look at it. Even for people, either watching this on Curzio YouTube or watching us stay and listen to us, question everything. Question all of our research. Send out emails. That's how everybody gets educated. That's what we're supposed to do. It's America is founded on, right? We just challenge each other. But it's amazing when these forecasts only come at when you're absolute top or you're really, really at the bottom. And they tend to be wrong when they're right. And with Bitcoin, it's just with everyone. Could you find? Let me ask you this, Daniel. Could you find any forecast right now saying that Bitcoin is going to crash?
Ooh, I'm sure one of the diehard gold bugs would have to say that, I'm sure. Yeah.
But you're not
I
seeing it
haven't
right
seen
now,
it,
right?
no, but
You
it
haven't
hasn't
seen it.
come
I
across
saw it
the
like
array
crazy
of
when it went
screens that I do. No, you're right.
I saw it like crazy when it went to 4,000.
Yeah.
5,000. I saw it like crazy when it went from, what was it, 19 to 4 to 5 4. Heard it, Bitcoin's going to 0, right?
Well, not only does everybody make mistakes, and it's damn hard to admit when you're wrong, um, it's really hard to. So let's say you were anti-Bitcoin because you didn't believe in it. You didn't think that it was trusted on the algorithm. You don't believe that there's a fixed number of supply in 21 million after they're all mined. Um, those are all valid questions, like you said. I mean, there's nothing wrong with questioning all that. Now here we are again at basically $20,000, and the reason it's getting more and more hard to say that this is a flash in the pan and or a Ponzi scheme and or not going to stick around is because now you have multi-billion dollar firms moving into it in a massive way. And forget Square and forget PayPal that makes it really easy to millions, if not hundreds of millions of people to basically it's as easy to buy that as something online on Amazon. But now you have Guggenheim, I think Alan's Bernstein, or I'm going to butcher that too. And then did you see BlackRock? What they said about it?
No.
What is it, Larry?
Larry Fink.
Yeah. CEO's world's largest asset manager says Bitcoin can possibly, quote, evolve into a global asset. So the argument of it, hey, this is going to zero, this is silly, I think is damn hard to even come up with. But if you still got that, more power to you. I just don't understand why people get so upset over Bitcoin and gold. And I know you started a good argument on Twitter about that. And I got to admit, I read that with a big grin. The only way it'd be better if I had a cocktail while I was reading through those comments because I don't understand why it has to be one or the other.
No, I don't get it either. And I just punched this stuff for Larry Fink and BlackRock, saying that Bitcoin could be a big deal. What you said, and I'll show this picture right here if you're looking. The assets under management for them 7.4.
Yeah, I knew it was over a trillion.
7.4 trillion they have. So if they put a 0.25% of that in Bitcoin, you would see it. I don't know. You could figure out and do the math, but
now that's one way they move funds. Let me get crazy here for a moment and go down a rabbit hole because the Wall Street Journal reported earlier this year, I think it was January 14th, 2020, BlackRock, again, trillions under management. They said they would take a tougher stance against corporations that aren't providing full accounting of environmental risks. So you've heard this ESG, environmental, social. What's the last one? Whatever. It's bullshit is what it is, people. Just look out for that. In fact, I was talking to Frank the other day. I was doing some screens, and I'm on this packaging thing with everything going around, and so look at packaging companies and all that kind of stuff. And anytime they highlight in their presentation and or conference call about how, this is better for the environment and all that, that's going to become a bull market if it's not already. Because you got guys like BlackRock. Think about that. If you run somebody else's money, you're going to make the decision whether to invest in this company or not, depending on the environmental standards that I know science has already, fixed it. We're ruining the earth and all that other BS. But it just shows you the power that these asset managers can have. So you move into Bitcoin, that could easily double Bitcoin if $1 trillion under management decides to get in. You want to ruin another company because you don't want to invest in their funds, because you don't provide liquidity or give any of your customers under the 7 trillion access to that investment because they, quote, don't meet certain standards. That's powerful stuff. And that's why everybody needs to pay attention and put yourself at numero uno and try to figure out how to separate yourself from the herd.
Well, I mean, just to add to that, you're looking at PayPal where this is October, right? When they came in and said that they're going to support Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, access to 400 million plus people now, right?
Yeah.
Now you're finding another outlet with Square and all these other, it's not hard to buy Bitcoin. Anyone can buy it. Coinbase is very easy too. So you just, like you said, it's more and more people are getting in it. And again, it's digital assets. The whole world is digital, right? The whole entire world is digital. I mean, we're seeing how digital is and how amazing it is based just with the pandemic. I mean, how all the businesses most businesses are operating, again, at a lower capacity, but even, restaurants adapted and pickup and stuff like that. More people picking up, and you make sure they have apps now for smaller companies or they can order ahead of time. And not just on the phone. So you see the adaptation, especially when it's forced on you, which we're seeing now with the pandemic. But for Wall Street and banking and all that not to be digital, not to be, you're not seeing tokenization where all these assets trillions and trillions in assets in real estate and the bond industry could be tokenized or selling off a small piece like you do with a stock where individual investors can own it. Yeah, it really is very, 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 very early in this trend. Like not even in the first inning, but it's just you could see it. You could see the path. Like it just makes sense. I think that's why people are getting it, saying, "Listen, we understand." And not only that, the uncertainty. This is what my opening was, Daniel, is the uncertainty that we're seeing, whether it's the election, whether it's you can't get a stimulus out, interest rates going to be low forever, bailouts, unlimited bailouts forever for everyone. There's no accountability. That goes right to the heart of gold and Bitcoin, because that's where people say, okay, we don't like this system. We don't trust anybody. And we know we could trust this. And blockchain, the more people are on the blockchain, it makes it even more secure. But yeah, we'll go from there. So
Frank's going to have to reel me in because I'm getting way too bullish on gold. And as an analyst and what we do for a living, we get to look at this stuff all day. That's exciting. And you don't want to get over your skis. You want to practice position sizing and stuff. But I just want to take all future bonuses and buy call options right now because it's so funny to see everything going on. Just like you said, the argument for Bitcoin and gold is only building. And yet, especially in gold, we saw a quick pullback from 2,000 to 1,800 and a lot of gold stocks dropped 10% or more. That as an investor, it sucks to see and stomach when you're losing money or if your positions are big winners and go to small winners or heaven forbid turn into losses. But that's the exact thesis and opportunity you want to see when everything that your argument is building and the price goes against you in the short term. That's a wonderful time. So yeah, we're still in the early stages, and gold and Bitcoin both could be severely higher. And I don't see, as long as your time frame is good. My friends hate this because this is a political answer. If you're going to buy Bitcoin today, I would only recommend you buy Bitcoin if you're willing to buy it again in the future at some point. And I don't give a damn if that's higher or lower. But if you're just thinking I'm going to put $1,000 or $10,000 or more in Bitcoin right now and see where that leads me, I think that's goofy. Go to Vegas, you'll have more fun and a better story. Yeah. But if you're willing to put $2,000 in now, and if it drops in half, put $2 more in. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless your thesis changes where this thing is going away, that's how I would approach that. And that's what you got to do to manage your emotions. Because if you like it now and you're texting or asking anybody about it, if it drops below 15 or 12, you better as hell like it more. So.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So the only threat to Bitcoin would probably be another digital currency, right? Something that's easier. I mean, it's Bitcoin. I've studied. Yeah. It does have flaws, right? The transactions are much faster. You have cheaper in some areas, but it's still digital. So if it's not Bitcoin, it'll be something else. Right now, it is Bitcoin, and it probably is going to be Bitcoin since everybody's familiar with it. It accounts for 62% of the total crypto market.
Crypto market cap.
So that's it's 62. It was 80% like in early 2017. Now it's 62%. So it's lower, but you're seeing more of these tokens really. Some of them, I analyzed them to death in crypto intelligence, and I told you guys that 90% are complete garbage and fraudulent. And you're not going to you don't get equity stake in these things, right? It's the utility function. That's what it's based on. These guys don't even have a utility. They don't even have anything going on. So, but with that said, inside that 10%, there are some names that are very, very interesting, and you're really starting to see them take off. And we'll see. I think Bitcoin, Ethereum's doing well. I loved Ethereum for a long time because that's where you get all smart contracts from. But I've had some really smart people in crypto that I respect tell me, be very, very careful with Ethereum. It's got a lot of flaws. So we'll see how this industry plays out. But if you're looking at the industry as a whole, when it comes to digital assets, it just really makes sense. And I guess the last thing, I don't know if you covered everything, right? I mean, I love when you go into politics. You go into politics, yeah. You always get the best emails. That's why I like talking politics with you. When you said, when it comes to politics and not talking about it, it's not that I don't think people should talk about it. It's that during family time, there's going to be an argument if you have two different sides.
Because absolutely.
The way it is right now, the way we have it right now is, a Republican isn't allowed to like a Democrat. Democrat isn't allowed to like a Republican. It's been more further apart ever in our history than is right now. Especially, I mean,
our lifetimes. Let's not go down that road.
I mean, you could probably find a couple periods, but on this scale where, I mean, there's a lot of hate out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing because you could hang out with these people, you put basketball, and everything's fine. And then once they get to political opinions, you want to, especially in social media. Holy cow. I love social media, man. It's just, it's just a complete shit show on social media. Anyone says whatever.
How many relationships you think have ended over politics in the last 4 years?
Oh man, a lot,
I
a
bet it
lot.
is. I
Not
guess
only
I
last
guess we're
20
laughing
years,
at
yeah,
people's
a
sadness.
lot.
That's not nice of us, Frank. But
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot, which is a shame, because, most of us all have the same goals and want our family to get better and, want to make money for ourselves and provide a family with a great living and stuff. We all have like 90% in common pretty much. And then, but yet you just throw this in there and it's just, I don't know. It's almost like road rage, right?
yeah,
Why do you have road rage for? Who knows? But people just lose it when they drive traffic. You can't control it. You just go crazy. Anyway, last thing I want to talk about, Dan, before we go here is Airbnb. So Airbnb is coming out with their IPO, and for me, I mean, I just thought it was kind of amazing that I did some numbers on it, and I posted this on my Twitter, friend Curzio. Airbnb first 9 months, 2019, sales were 3.7 billion, net loss 322 million, par for the cost for IPOs these days. Valuation based on that latest investor round, which was February, 18 billion. Now, let me ask you a question, Dan. Do you think Airbnb would be in a better position today after the pandemic, with the pandemic still going on, or pre-pandemic?
yeah. I would have to go pre-pandemic when everything was,
Yeah,
you know,
makes sense, right?
well, that was our normal, as we're going to
Yeah,
refer to it for the
things
rest
are
of our
great,
lives.
has a great business model. I get it. I understand. Airbnb first 9 months of 2020, sales down 32%, net loss increased 116%, almost $700 million loss. Their valuation that they're pitching for their IPO, again, last time in February, pre-COVID, 18 billion. 30 to 35 billion dollars are going to come out at.
Mm,
Crazy world we live in, right? And you know
yeah,
what? It's probably going to go a lot higher, and it's going to be a $75 billion valuation 6 months from now. We're in a market, I guess, where numbers don't matter, and it is frustrating, but you could get frustrated and get pissed off, or you could learn to adapt, right?
yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing I haven't dug into Airbnb a whole lot, but the one of the main things that sticks out to me is that have you ever stayed in Airbnb? I have not.
I stayed once, yeah.
How was the experience? Was it good?
It was good. Yeah, for me, it was pretty
Quickly, I
good.
mean, logging on, easy
Yeah,
connections. You're
it was
not
a pretty
worried
cool
about.
experience.
You're
Yeah,
not worried
and
about
people
like
do it all the
Craigslist.
time.
Like, oh man, if I'm going to get screwed, like,
Yeah,
if you buy golf tickets or golf passes or any sporting thing, there's always a level of nervousness and saying, hey,
mhm,
the other end of this better be the guy I'm thinking or the girl I'm
yeah,
thinking, all that. So I've never stayed in Airbnb. I know a lot of people that have, and the vast majority, I'd say well over 90% are positive. The thing that stuck out to me on that is, and I'm not saying I'm right here. I could have been wrong on my initial thought, but what was so interesting to me is when I always thought Airbnb, I thought of going elsewhere. I would think, all right, let's go to Arizona, rent a house, play golf all week, or let's go to the beach, hang out, either with a big family or a couple of families meeting there.
mhm.
And again, I'd never done it. Not, I'm more of a hotel guy. Now, the crazy thing was I heard something and it just made me think out loud on Airbnb is a great flexible model in the sense of not about profitability yet. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you don't have to have people travel far to do the same damn thing. And that is really interesting to me because we don't have to go from here to Arizona or from here to Atlanta. Hell, you can go to Jacksonville and rent an Airbnb and have a staycation. So the crazy thing about that is that it wouldn't almost shock me if you get more people in an Airbnb because they just don't go as far.
Mhm.
And that is a lot of it's just blind dumb luck, because they don't own a whole lot of assets. I don't even know if they own any. I know
Yeah.
they're basically the platform like Uber. They don't own a bunch of cars, but they're the Uber platform for taxi services. But that is just, kind of to think outside the box and just kind of fall bass backwards into luck on that. Because again, you don't care how far people are traveling. You just want them to go have a getaway.
Mhm.
And if you have a lot of stuff that's 40 minutes away and you don't have to fly very long, I think that's really interesting. So I'll be looking at that for those numbers. But yeah, the losses and all that, like you said, you don't have to make sense, and you might as well cash out while we got trillions of liquidity being pumped
Yeah.
in all the time. You can't blame those guys for that. That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it is a great business model. And not only that, it's like Uber where, people could use their own cars, right? And
Yeah,
of course, you got to go through a whole time process. But now it's, hey, I have this room or I have this house, and now you can make money on the side from it. So it does make sense. And you have reviews there, and people have used it and stuff like that. Just like Uber and has you can rate it and stuff like that. But for me, I'm just a hotel person. But yeah,
yeah,
is it a good business model? It's great. Yeah, it's a great business model. That's why it's a $30 billion.
yeah.
That's why it's so big. I get it, but I'm surprised that. I guess the guys who paid 18 billion, that was based on the latest investment round. Good for them. They did good.
I was
That's
going to
smart.
say, too bad we weren't in that offering. How do you like that? You going from 18 to 35? Your lockup
Everyone
period's going to be
always
what,
says
6
that.
months?
Everyone always says that. It's just like the bottom, like in the credit crisis, or even like the March lows. Man, if I would have bought, man, we should have just bought. But when you go through the emotions of that time, like in
Oh,
March,
absolutely. Yeah.
even me, we were well ahead of this, getting a lot of people out of the markets because China was closed and no one was really focusing on that, even though it accounts 40% of the world's growth. Even through March and April, it took me a while, and I'm like, man, this looks bad. And markets started coming back into May. Then they decided to hand out, $6.5 trillion out of their pocket. I was like,
Yep.
well, all right, if you like, nobody had that. I was like, you got to be bullish on the market. Then, I mean, all this money's coming into the market. 30% of GDP of U.S. GDP just handed to people is going to result in and keeping rates super low. It's just every asset you're seeing across the board is just flying higher. But Dan, I want to thank you for coming on. We covered a lot of subjects today. Love having you on, getting positive feedback. So, guys, whatever you want, email me, frankcurzioresearch.com. We talk about a lot of controversial things, too, in terms of politics sometimes. But again, a lot of that always comes back to your investment decisions. And we talk about politics today mostly because it is the reason why our political environment is what it is and how you play it and why people are so uncertain and don't trust it on both sides. I mean, you're basically, it's Bitcoin and gold, right?
Yeah,
that's basically what it is.
absolutely. So, yeah, and you got major tailwinds. So
yeah, absolutely major tailwinds. Central bank's going to spend forever, and so I appreciate you coming on, buddy. How's the back doing?
Wonderful. Hit a few golf balls on the range a couple days ago, and didn't play, but not in pain. I got up, walked around, felt good. So yeah, we'll be back at it soon.
Yeah, it's frustrating because when you're like
Mother Nature's being a real mother right now here in North Florida, and it's like 30-some degrees this morning, which is cold for everybody here.
A week ago, it was like 83, 84 or something. I think that was close to a record. And now I don't know if we need a record low now, but it's got to be pretty close in the 30s.
I'm going to have to polish up on my global warming arguments then. Yeah, jeez.
And it's so frustrating, too, playing golf with Daniel because, he's so tall and he just, he basically swings like 1 mile an hour and the ball goes like 5,000 yards. So I'm like, great, this is a confident booster for me. So anyway, but it's kind of funny. Perfect build for it, but yeah, it's good golf. So Dan, thanks for coming on, buddy. And we'll definitely,
enjoyed it as always. Everybody have a great week.